Hello everyone, welcome to another World of Tanks Blitz video. I might be a little late on this video, but today, I'm going to showcase two new tanks that Wargaming added. The two new tanks are, the Edelweiss and the Nameless. Yes, you heard correctly, one of the tanks' name is Nameless. Weird I know, but it's taken from one of Sega's game, Valkyria Chronicles. As you can see, the two new tanks do not belong to any country. As such, Wargaming decided to put it under their own nation, with their own flag, and I've got to admit, Wargaming's flag does look pretty cool. But other than that, there's nothing fantastic about these two tanks. Aside from its weird design and skin, everything is pretty much the same as other tanks. Nothing really special. These two tanks are not as fast as the E25, or the Type 62 that Wargaming released for sale, and it isn't as thick armored as the Tankenstein or the tank that's currently already for sale, the AT-15A. The only thing special about these two tanks are the weird design of the frontal hull armor. The Edelweiss has 90mm of frontal armor, angled at a weird angle. The armor on the hull gets steeper as it moves up, resulting the lower part of the hull not being angled. Side armor are at 40mm on both the turret and the hull of the Edelweiss, and 80mm on both the turret and the hull of the Nameless. Rear armor is the same as the side armor on both the turret and the hull of the Edelweiss. The Nameless has 40mm of armor on the rear of the hull and 80mm of armor on the rear of the turret. I'll talk more about the two tanks as you watch the gameplay. Now, time to roll the gameplay. The first gameplay will be on the Edelweiss. This gameplay, for the Edelweiss, will be taking place in the new map that Wargaming added, Yamato Harbor. As you can see, the Edelweiss has quite the acceleration. As such, you should use it to your advantage and flank enemy tanks if, and only if you can. You won't get the opportunity to flank the enemy tank and survive all the time. Oh, and because your armor is not as sloped as the other normal tanks, your relative armor thickness of the lower part of your hull is basically what it says on paper, 90mm, with a little extra, but not much. So your armor is strong enough to bounce off shots from most of the lower tier tanks, not including tank destroyers, because their guns are meant for the tank's purpose, to destroy tanks. You may be able to bounce off shots from guns that are a little bigger than those mounted on tier 6 tanks when angled properly. Again, not including tank destroyers. They are called tank destroyers for a reason. Also, I have been seeing this a lot lately, but do not try to fight with the enemy when their gun is facing towards you, especially tank destroyers. Most of the tank destroyers at tier 7 are flankable, so flank them. Do not just stand in front of their guns thinking that you can bounce off their shots. Like I've mentioned, they are tank destroyers, and the guns mounted on them have one main purpose, to destroy tanks, and with your relatively weak armor, you are not going to be able to bounce off their shots. Basically, because you are a medium tank, you should flank the enemy whenever possible and not just stand in front of the enemy's gun, waiting to be shot at. With this tank's alpha and rate of fire, try not to fight with the British medium tanks alone. You'll often find yourself getting overpowered by their rate of fire. The British medium tanks compensate their low alpha damage with their high rate of fire. You won't be able to win against them alone. Unless, of course, if RNG is siding with you while you're fighting them. Talking about medium tanks, if the enemy team doesn't have more medium tanks than your team, try to flank the enemy in general. Let your heavy tank teammates try to hold them off while you poke your enemy from their S. In this case, my team was able to hold off their heavy tanks until we get there. This Tiger 1 seems to be taking my teammates out one by one. Too bad he's a one-shot for me. Bye bye, Tiger 1. That's it for the Edelweiss. Now on to the Nameless. In my opinion, the Nameless is not very worth buying. Most tanks at tier 7 have the gun penetration to penetrate your armor. Plus, with your weird angled armor, you can ricochet off enemy tanks using the top of your hull, but the lower part of your hull will be weak and able to be penetrated by other tanks. Unlike the Edelweiss, you don't have the speed in terms of acceleration, top speed, transverse speed, turret transverse speed and reload speed. Your armor is not very fantastic. As such, you are less likely to ricochet off rounds fired from tanks of the same tier, so even if you were to try and hold the side of the map you're defending, you won't be able to last long without the help of your teammates. With this tank, your teammates are important because you are less likely to survive in this tank on your own. Unless, of course, you have been, or are camping like an idiot on one side of the map thinking that you can snipe enemy with this tank. This tank has pretty bad dispersion, so you won't hit anything from far. If you want to snipe like an idiot on one side of the map, while still having decent armor and a turret, there are other tanks for that. Oh yeah, don't try to fight with a KV-2 head-on, they'll cause you quite a bit of your health. Wow, I just got shot by the KV-2, and it cost me 479 of my HP. How nice. I don't think my blind shot worked. But anyway, the reload speed on this tank is quite long. Oh, and I forgot to buy a PCR and consumables when recording. Facepalm. I forgot to mention, but Wargaming server has been lagging at the time when I recorded it. I'm not sure if it is fixed yet, but try not to go into random battle until it's fixed. It will really screw up your gameplay experience. And apparently, there's not much to comment about this tank. Basically, because, in my opinion, the Edelweiss is better as compared to the Nameless. Wow, RNG decided to screw with me at this time. You've cost me one of my kills, screw you RNG. And now I am one shot short of becoming the top of the team. I really hate the RNG in World of Tanks Blitz. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, despite it being quite long. Leave a like if you did and I'll see you guys in the next video I do. Bye.